Well, hey, Gundam Maniacs, welcome to another episode of Gundam Explained. This episode, we're continuing our look at Gundam Evolve, and we're at episode 12, RMS 099, Rick Diaz. So, is this going to be about Quattro's mobile suit? Maybe about Char's mobile suit? Or maybe not even about that at all? And this is another one made in 2005, so it kind of continues the visual aesthetic, which I think is kind of an improved, PS2 era CGI, plus trying to add, that sort of color shading, the toon shading. There's actually a term for that, to kind of make it look like it's an anime. Cell shading, yeah, there you go. While using the 3D CGI graphics. Let's look at it. So we're seeing Argama, AUG, data upload verification complete, simulation ready. So Quattro is just kind of out in his Rick Diaz, just doing some training. Although he's in one with default colors, so here's something that I'm not fully quite understanding. I'll kind of explain as we go. Because while he's training in the gray early type Rick Diaz, he also gets his Yakushiki. And so there's someone that's in charge of, I guess, initiating these simulation programs, and the person that put this program on for Quattro had it where he was to turn red. So I find that interesting. Is it the simulation making him look red, and so outside of the universe we're watching it and his mobile suit is red? Or is it like Seed, where they have that color shift that happens and it just turned red? That wasn't explained here. Probably not supposed to be taken seriously. And some cool shots here, because this is CGI with that cel-shaded animation, but a still itself looks like a high-quality modern animation. And I wonder if the 2000s were full of Bandai and other animation companies too, trying to figure out how do we take computer graphics, the cartoon animation, and try to blend the two together to still have the animation people expect, but using newer technology, maybe making it cheaper. It's pretty cool watching the Rick Diaz fight, and it's been like that with other episodes where we're just, even if it's short, we get to see some cool mobile suit action going on here, and he's just blowing up some other Rick Diaz mobile suits. And we have a Mark II that's in the AU colors, so that's why I found it interesting. You know what, and here's the thing, maybe during this point in the Zeta timeline, I'm still trying to figure out when this takes place. It's around the time, I guess, he gets his Yakushiki. Could it be that his Rick Diaz was destroyed? That's why he's in a gray one, and they just added that red color scheme. And then we just hear like this background voice, like, I'm the red comet, I'm the red comet. And then we see a cat with one eye, mono eye cat. And Char, Quattro, is at a bar. It's almost reminiscent of the scene we see midway through 0079 where, he kind of got kicked out of the Federation Army, I guess, or not Federation, Xeon Army, I guess momentarily, was just hanging out at a bar. But there's still a little bit of back and forth dialogue here, so I'm wondering if this takes place after Zeta, but before Char's counterattack? I don't know. And then all of a sudden we see this Heat Hawk hit the beam saber of the Rick Diaz. So it's like, okay, what's this Heat Hawk from? And it is Char's original mobile suit. I guess not his original really, because didn't he have a Zaku 1 or whatever, but it's a Zaku 2 from 0079. Interesting that this is popping up here. Calm down, he won't hit us. He's not Camille. I guess kind of referencing Camille being one to hit people during training simulations. And then we get this, sorry, Lieutenant, one of my rookies got carried away and uploaded that. So what's going on here is they'll use, mobile suit pilot data for training simulations, and this person happened to have some sort of program for the original Red Comet in Char's Zaku 2 to go off against Quattro, just coincidentally. I think this is at a point where no one assumed that Quattro was Red Comet yet, or at least maybe the rookie. And then we have this written explanation. So first we have something it looks like it is crossed out. During combat training simulation near the moon airspace quadrant, Quattro Vagina, with a V. But then it has this other thing. Please inspect the formal written reports by Henking Berkner regarding the accident that took place during the recent moon airspace combat training simulation. I guess it's supposed to give off a little more story bits here, and you can't even see exactly if UC 0080 what. Very interesting how they're kind of not really fully explaining everything. And even his signature, handwritten, has the V on there, so that's funny. And I guess they're saying that the way the red Zaku was acting, it must have been a bug, but no, that was the pilot data. So I guess the idea that, it was a new type, it was Char, and that data is what makes it seem crazy or seem like a bug compared to another Zaku 2 program. So, and he's even asking Quattro, it's like, hey, should we paint it red? The Yakushiki we're receiving from Amon. Or at Amon. And he says he'll think about it because the default color is gold. So that's why I'm curious, when does this actually take place? And is there just a bit of, just for the sake of this story, just doing a little bit of retconning, but it doesn't impact the overall Zeta storyline. Here we're seeing that mono-eye cat again. And yeah, he's talking to someone at a bar and they're saying during the 1 Year War. So obviously this is after all that. And it's someone that's a singer just talking about the times then. And there's a look, and interesting, there's 99 on the sleeve of the jacket. Not sure if that means anything. And then we hear it, I'm the red comet. And I thought maybe he was saying it in his mind, but because his lips aren't moving. And some dude just opens the bar door and he's like, I'm the red comet. Okay. And it's like he goes in to maybe grab a gun because he doesn't know what this guy's gonna do. It almost reminds me of when we get to Gundam Hathaway, and how there's people pretending to be Mafti, but they're wanting to carry out those ideals. But it's interesting how it's kind of like the same thing going on. And as they're talking about it, like they're saying it's hard to let go of the past. And then we see Quattro, Char, just sitting there. And then the cat, too. I'm interested about this cat. It's interesting. It's like, you can't live in the past. And we're seeing Quattro's shades near his drink. He was looking at the cat with that single red eye and then made him think of the Zaku 2. So it's like, you can't live in the past, but isn't that kind of what he does by the time we get to Char's counterattack? So then he looks back at the cat again, and the single red mono eye blinks and 2 eyes open and they're yellow. I don't know if that's supposed to be a signal of Char looking past the past? I don't know. All right, now we see him getting the Hakushiki, getting ready to launch. I gotta say, it looks really good in this short here. Just the way they have the gold being very reflective and metallic. Yeah, another cool shot. It looks really good here. And it's a cool looking mobile suit anyway. And I tried to freeze frame it just right, but they're like, okay, I've got this new program coming up for you, and it's one with the RX-78-2 in it. So I guess even more of, it's almost like maybe what they're trying to, you can't live in the past, but maybe Char just can't escape the past. Because he doesn't want to live in the past. He understands what's being said, but maybe this short is just showing that he can't escape the past. It's his destiny. And that is it. It's always interesting watching these because there's like minutes left for these shorts, but they're short. And actually some cool shots here if you're going through the credits. I mean, like, look at that. So this is 2005. They really had a handle on how to modernize the designs of mobile suits to look like just as good as today. And I've even talked about lately, even with like Steven from Midnight Hatter, as we're talking about some of the video games that came out in the 2000s, how the designs of the mobile suits, they did a real good job modernizing them. And then here's that lady that's a singer. I don't know much about her. Did she have some background information? I don't know. I don't know. All right, it ends with Quattro, Char in a cool pose. All right, and to go through the synopsis here real quick, Universal Century, Quattro Bajina boards the RMS 099 Rick Diaz for a battle simulation to transfer combat data to the mass production model. The data personnel has some fun with him, turning the Rick Diaz's monitor red, revealing his own old Zaku from his Red Comet days. As his opponent, Quattro is gradually cornered by the Zaku. Can he win against the legendary Red Comet? And then he switches to the Yakushiki and faces off with an old rival. Sometimes these Gundam Evolved synopses can give more information and be more detailed than the short itself. This one's not. This one just added more questions. Because they specified turning the Rick Diaz's monitor red, turning it red. Does that mean they pressed a button, it had a red filter? So then he assumed things he was seeing were red, even though us as the viewer were seeing them red outside of him? I don't know. I guess the interesting thing to come out of this is, okay, we're seeing Quattro at a bar just thinking. He's looking at the red mono-eyed cat. Obviously, he's thinking about the past, the singer, the bartender. They're talking about not living in the past. But Quattro, in his simulations, having to fight the red Zaku, having to fight the RX-78-2, he is having to live his past. stay in it. And I don't know if that's what they're trying to portray here, because then after Zeta, we get Char's counterattack, which a lot of people still think to this day it was kind of an odd switch from what we saw happen in Zeta and what led into Char's counterattack. But I think if we look closely and look at clues, there's enough there to get Quattro to turn back into Char, I guess. And so here, when we're looking at the colors, it's that, you know, gray or dark colored one, the early standard colors. Then we have Quattro's colors, the new actually it says new standard. So I guess they started after they made his custom and then they mass produced it with the different colors. Okay, developed at Anaheim Electronics RMS 099. MSA 099, MSA 099, does it say that twice? It does, I don't get it. Rick Diaz became one of the first mass-produced mobile suits of the AUG's Zeta project for their fight against the corrupt Titans. Because many engineers who worked on the Rick Diaz were former Principality of Xeon members, the Rick Diaz featured many similarities to Xeon mobile suits, such as mono-eye sensor, originally the Rick Diaz. Diaz is derived from Bartolomeu Diaz, the Portuguese explorer who first rounded the Cape of Good Hope. Was supposed to be called the Gamma Gundam, as it is built out of the new Gundarium. I guess it's a type of Gundarium gamma alloy, and so that's why they're calling it that. That's interesting. This material was developed by Axis and has strength similar to standard Gundarium, yet weighs less, making the suit lighter and thus allowing it to accommodate a greater fuel capacity. So that can kind of explain its more chunkiness. Okay, the Rick Diaz is one of the earlier mobile suits to use the 360-degree panoramic cockpit in the first original design to be constructed by the AUG. One notable feature is that unlike other mobile suits at the time, the cockpit of the Rick Diaz is built into its head and not the chest. Built into its hands are specialized launchers that can be used to launch fire suppressing gas, or a binding adhesive. For combat, the Rick Diaz can be equipped with a variety of weapons, making it a versatile mobile suit. Among its built-in weapons include a 55mm Vulcan phalanx in its head and beam saber stored on the underside of a backpack-mounted rack. For ranged combat, the Rick Diaz is equipped with a pair of beam pistols stored in the backpack-mounted rack. It can also be optionally equipped with a clay bazooka and beam rifle. So anyway, that's episode 12, where it's called Rick Diaz, but we get a look at Char during this mid-Zeta time period. I'm not too sure. They have a bunch of little interesting world building things happening. People on the streets yelling that they are the Red Comet. So a lot of Xeon sympathizers still exist, obviously, but I'm curious what this was supposed to mean for Quattro's character. Did what I say made sense, where it seems like they're talking about letting go of the past, but he can't help but be trapped in his past? Curious what you guys think. Anyway, if you thought it was a cool video, give it a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't. Also, shout out to all the supporters there. You make this possible. If you're interested in being a supporter, check the links in the description. But anyway, guys, thanks for watching. We'll talk later.